Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today I'll be doing a short review and then a tutorial on how to set up and use all the functions of the GA400, which is a relatively new model of a G-Shock. I say relative as I believe it came out in 2014, which compared to some models that have been around for 10 to 20 years, does seem pretty new. Now this watch review and tutorial was actually a request from one of the subscribers. Luckily Silvertime Watch Store had one in stock and were more than willing to lend it to me. So I would like to thank them for that, and if you want to check them out, you can click on the link in the description. Also in the description, you will find a table of content with time codes, so you can jump to specific parts of the video or functions of the watch if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Although with this model, even if you're familiar with G-Shocks, I would advise you in watching the whole tutorial for the first time, as this watch does certain things a little different compared to other G-Shocks. Now it's pretty convenient that I'm doing this review in the middle of December, as this version really looks like a winter watch with its white color. Another coincidence is that its color scheme and the semi-glossy resin finish reminds me a lot of the stormtroopers from Star Wars, and with the new movie just coming out these days, it fits perfectly. Even this crown on the side looks like something from the movie. Now one can argue that even the bicolor screen can be seen as representing the dark side and the light side, but that's a bit of a stretch of imagination, although I do like it. Now the specs of this watch are almost identical to the GA100 and the rest of the extra large series, meaning the diameter is 51.9 millimeters with a lug-to-lug of 55. The thickness is 18.3 and the watch is feather light at 70 grams. The watch is powered by the 5398 module that is pretty basic, regular battery operated module, so without the fancy atomic or Bluetooth functions. It also has pretty standard functions like a 24-hour stopwatch with preset start times, a world time function with 31 time zones and 48 cities, 5 alarms with one being a snooze, and a directly accessible 60-minute countdown timer. Now this timer is the main feature of this watch because it has its own dedicated subdial and the already mentioned direct access, meaning that with a single press of a button you can enter and start the timer without going through the trouble of scrolling through the modes. Since it has this direct access, Casio was smart enough to put it last in order of the modes. Now the design is very cool and I really like the look of it. Not only because it reminds me of the Star Wars movie, but the hands designed with the outline done in white and this cutouts and the black line running across the middle of the hands really look awesome while still being legible. The dial with high hour markers gives a nice feeling of depth. The buttons are large and easy to press, and the bicolor screen is very good looking, with luckily the positive portion used for the time, making it a lot easier to read. Now this bicolor screen is a great idea as it combines the readability of positive screens on one part while still adding a little bit of a cool factor on the negative or dark side. Now although displays that are all negative look cool, they're simply not practical for everyday use. While positive screens, while easily readable, tend to be a bit bland and boring. With this watch you get both, and it also works great with the rest of the black and white color scheme. Now the backlight they use is the same LED used on other analog digital models that I personally hate, but on this model, thanks to the position of the time screen and the fact it's positive, the LED actually makes it readable. So at least when it comes to time telling in the dark, I have to admit the watch is okay. The unique thing about this watch is the addition of a crown, which is not that common on simpler G-Shocks, and it's actually used for a lot of things. Now it's not your usual pull-push crown, as this one can only be turned one way or another, and it actually replaces the forward and backward buttons that we're used to. Now to be honest, the crown gives me a mixed feeling and I still can't decide whether I like it or not. I like the idea of it and the looks, but using it takes some getting used to, and speed scrolling can be a bit tricky, but you'll see what I mean in the tutorial part. The strap and buckle are almost identical to the ones on the GA700 I did a review of some months ago, and give me mixed feelings as well. The strap is not overly long and has this angled ending like the Frogman series have. These are both things that make me love it. But then they use the same plastic buckle like the one on the GA700, and that is something I still don't like. It does look good, but I would prefer the safety of a stainless steel one. Just like on the GA700, where the actual body of the watch was red, while the bezel protection was black, on this watch, although the watch looks white, the actual case of the watch is black with black buttons, while the bezel is white, which becomes evident when you flip the watch over. It's just an interesting quirk to know about G-Shocks, that the cases are not necessarily the same color as the watch first appears. Now to conclude, I really do like this watch, as it's a true G-Shock, meaning it's basic, regular battery operated, looks good, and is cheap, which is what a G-Shock should be. Otherwise you miss the beater point when you make it cost $1,000. Now don't get me wrong, I like expensive G-Shocks as well, but I see them more as collector's pieces than not use it and abuse it kind of watches. The only thing I dislike about this model is the backlight and the plastic buckle. But to be honest, they're not a deal breaker, at least for me, as the looks easily outweigh these problems, at least on this version, as the color combo just works. Other versions are not that interesting, at least to me. Anyways, this pretty much completes the review, so let's move on to the tutorial. Now, just like on all other analog digital G-Shocks, the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to check and correct the hand's position, because this is something that you will have to do whenever you change the battery, as then the watch resets thinking it's midnight no matter where the hands are. Now to check it, you need to be in the home screen. Now to make sure that you're in the home screen, the watch will display the time here and the calendar, meaning the month, date, and day of the week right here. Now if you're in any other mode, you can cycle with the mode button until you go back to the home screen. Or even simpler, you can simply press and hold the mode button for more than 3 seconds, no matter where you are, and the watch is going to take you back to the home screen. So once you're in the home screen, the hours and minutes should be in sync with these two hands. So as you can see, it's 15:10, 15:10. So these hands are okay. Now this subdial right here is actually, like I said in the review, it's a countdown timer dedicated subdial, meaning that it's going to show you what the countdown timer is set for. Or if the countdown timer is running, it's going to show you how much time is left until it reaches 0. So to check if this is correct, you need to go into the countdown timer to see whether it's really set for 60. As you can see, this needle is now showing 60. So if the countdown timer is set for 60, this is okay. If it's set for any other time, it means that this is misaligned as well. So we'll just go to the countdown timer, and as you can see, it says 60, so this hand is okay. Now if your watch shows everything okay as I just described, meaning that the timer shows what's displayed right here, and these hands match the time displayed right here, you can move on to the next step, adjusting the time calendar and everything. However, if your watch doesn't match these two or this and the countdown timer, you're going to have to do the hands correction. Now to do the hands correction, you press and hold the adjust button for more than 5 seconds. So you ignore the first beep when the watch enters the adjusting mode and keep the button pressed until you hear the second beep, and the watch is going to write H set right here in this upper screen. So let's do it. Press and hold, still hold, and there. Now the watch entered the hand setting mode. The first thing that the watch offers for you to set is this little subdial here. This is why it writes sub on this lower screen. Now to adjust this hand, you use the crown. So you can move clockwise or counterclockwise. You can also do the speed scrolling, but like I said in the review, it's kind of tricky because you have to do it like really violently and fast, and it's kind of tricky because of all these protection pieces. So there is a trick where you take the finger like this and just pull it real hard, but it doesn't work always, so we'll just try it now. There, it worked. And now to stop it, you just spin the crown in the other direction. There. Now I just set up this subdial. Now to set up these hands, you have to toggle between the two by pressing the mode button. So let's press the mode button. And as you can see, the display just changed to 0, 0, 0, meaning 0 hours, 0 minutes, or midnight. So these hands should stop at midnight. If they don't, we need to correct them. So let's just wait until they spin all the way. And there. As you can see, this watch is perfectly aligned, so everything is okay. If it wasn't, you would again move the hands using this crown. And again, you can do the speed scrolling just like I did with that one. And there, as you can see, it's really tricky sometimes. There. Once you've set up these hands and this little subdial, you press the adjust button to exit the hand setting mode. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is that this watch has the hand shift function, meaning that whenever you're setting something up, the hands are going to automatically move out of the way to not obscure the view of the digital display. However, it also has a manual hand shift function, where if you press the light button and the mode button, so you press the light button and hold it, and while you're holding that one, you press the mode button, you're going to initiate the manual hand shift function. So like this. There, as you can see, the watch just beeped and moved the hands away from the digital displays. Why is this important? Well, because if your watch just entered the hand setting, the hand shift function, and you try to check the alignment, it's going to be off, because as you can see, this watch displays 15:14, and over here you can see it's 15:16. But it's not that the hands are misaligned, it's just that the hand shift function is currently on. So make sure you don't make the mistake and checking the hands while the hand shift function is on. And you can see that it's on with this blinking hands symbol right here. Now, I don't know, hands word. I don't know if you can see it because this negative display is pretty hard to read on my lighting. Anyways, now to cancel it, you do the same. So you press and hold the light button and then press the mode button. There. And now the hands move to their correct position. So just make sure that the watch is not in the hands shift function when you're checking the alignments. Okay, moving on. To set up the time, the calendar and everything else, you need to be in the home screen again. And now you press and hold the adjust button for 3 seconds, like you release it after the first beep. So press and hold, and there. Now the watch is going to ask you for the time zone that you're in. And it's important for you to do this correctly because all the world times in that function are based on this. So if you mess this thing up, the world time function is going to be off. So to change the city, again, you turn the crown. And you can go east or west, and naturally you have the speed scrolling where the towns are just going to keep moving until you stop them by turning the crown in the other direction. Okay, once you've set up your time zone, you press the mode button again. And now it's going to ask you for the DST or daylight savings time. Now this is the summertime. So again, you can toggle it with the crown moving to off or on, and as you can see, the time just moved accordingly. Pressing the mode again takes you to the 12 and 24 hours display. If it's at 12, and again you toggle it with the crown, if it's put to 12, you're going to have the AM and PM indicator. If it's put to 24, you're going to have the military time. Since I prefer this one, we're going to leave it at that. Pressing the mode takes you to the seconds. Now, if you reset the seconds before 30 seconds, like now, or up to 29, the seconds are going to go back to 0, and you reset it with this button, and the minutes are going to stay unchanged. However, if you reset the seconds after 30 seconds, so from 30 to 59, when you press this button, the seconds are going to go back to 0, but these minutes are going to move by 1 up. So just make sure you know that. So from 17, it's going to jump to 18. So let's just do it now. Now, as you can see, it's 31, 32. Now, if we reset them, as you can see, the seconds went to 0, and the minutes moved by 1 up. Pressing the mode again takes us to the time setting. And now this is where it's a bit different than other G-Shocks because you can adjust the hours and minutes at the same time. However, for this, it's easier to ignore the hours and just set up the correct minutes, because going to the hours with this method, it's going to take some time. And again, you have the speed scrolling if you spin the crown violently. So let's just put it at 15:09, just so the hands don't get in the way of the digital display. Pressing the mode again is going to ask you the hours now. So you just set up the minutes without looking at the hours, and now you set up the hours to the desired time. There. Now pressing the mode again takes you to the year. So again, you can go forwards or backwards with the crown. Pressing the mode again now takes you to the month and date selection. Now here, unfortunately, unlike other G-Shocks, you need to go scrolling through through dates and months. So you cannot select month and then date. You have to do it like this, like together. So it can take some time to get, let's say, from December to, I don't know, June. As you can see, you have to wait for the whole month to pass before it moves. So you cannot set up the month individually. And this completes the time setting because the day of the week is calculated automatically. Pressing the mode button again takes you to the ketone selection. So with the crown, you can select whether you want the buttons to make the sound, the beeping sound when you press them, or the mute function where they are not going to make any sound. And you can see this mute little indicator on the screen when the mute function is on. We'll leave it at beep. There. Pressing the mode button again asks you for the light duration. So if it's put at 3 like this, the light is going to stay on for 3 seconds after you press this button. If you toggle it to 1, it's going to stay on for 1.5 seconds. Since I prefer as long a light as possible, I just leave it at 3. Now pressing the mode button again is going to just cycle you back to the beginning of the adjusting screen. So if you miss anything or you want to change something, you just keep pressing the mode button and it's going to keep cycling you back to the beginning and to the end and so forth. So once you've set up everything and you're satisfied, you just press the adjust button to exit the adjusting screen and go back to the home screen. And as you can see, the hands are just going to move in sync with the digital display. Now, speaking of the home screen, while in the home screen, pressing this or this is not going to do anything unless you go into the adjusting mode by pressing and holding. Now, pressing this button right here is going to activate the light, and it's going to stay on for 3 seconds because we set it up like that just a minute ago. Now, pressing and holding this button for more than 5 seconds is going to activate the auto lights, and you're going to have a little LT right above the date right here. This means that if you put the watch level and tilt it to your face, the watch is going to automatically activate the light because it has the auto light. Now, since this is not a solar watch, in order for it to save the battery life, it's going to turn this thing off automatically after 6 hours. Or you can manually turn it off by pressing and holding this light button again for more than 5 seconds. There. As you can see, the LT just disappeared. Now, another thing, like I said, this watch is a bit dedicated to the countdown timer because it has a direct access. So while in the home screen, pressing this button is going to jump into the countdown timer and start it instantly. So you don't have to go and cycle through modes to get to the countdown timer. So just press this, and as you can see, the watch just jumped into the timer and started the countdown timer. And then you can just stop it, reset it, and that's it. Another thing that happens while in the home screen is if you turn the crown, it's again automatically going to jump to the countdown timer and start setting up the time of the countdown timer. So let's say if we turn it like this, as you can see, it jumped into the timer and just moved the countdown timer to 1 minute. And now using the crown, you can set it up to whatever time you want. And as you can see, once you've set the timer at, let's say, 5 minutes, when you go back to the home screen, this little subdial is going to stay at 5 because it always displays the time that's displayed in the countdown timer. The next function is the stopwatch. Now this is a standard Casio stopwatch, but with a little twist. So like any other Casio stopwatch, you have the start with this button, stop and reset with this lower one. You have the split screen, meaning that you can start it. You can press the lower button to freeze the screen so you can write down the data, but the stopwatch keeps running in the background, and pressing this button again unfreezes the screen. And you have the first and second place, meaning that if you have 2 runners, when the first one goes to the finish line, you press the lower button. When the second one goes to the finish line, you press the stop button. And now you can write down the time of the first one, and pressing this lower button again shows you the time of the second one, and then pressing it again resets the stopwatch. And now for the twist part. Now, having a stopwatch and trying to measure, let's say, a sprint race that you're participating in, or measuring a bike race where you're participating, is kind of tricky because you have to be ready for the ready, set, go and at the same time you need to start the stopwatch, which can be a bit tricky and impossible. This is why this watch has a pre-start function, meaning that while the stopwatch is not running, when it's like this, turning the crown is gonna move, as you can see right here, allow you to select a pre-start countdown from 1 second to 60 seconds, and the last 3 seconds are going to be beeping like ready, set, go. So let's just put it to, I don't know, 6 seconds or 7, 6 seconds. And now when we start the stopwatch, it's not going to start, but it's going to count down from 6 seconds so you can get ready, and when it beeps you just launch, making a very precise measurement. Okay, so let's press the start, and as you can see, and there, the stopwatch just started. So this is a pretty cool feature. I really like this, especially because you can select any value that you want. So let's stop it, let's reset. This is pretty much it. Now moving on to the next function, it's the world time. Like I said, it has 31 time zones and 48 cities. To cycle through the cities, you use the crown. So you can go east and you can go west. Now, it also has the speed scrolling feature, just like when we were setting up the time. So if you turn the crown really violently, it's gonna start cycling through the cities until you stop it. And one more thing that you can do in the world time function is turn the DST for each time zone individually by pressing and holding the adjust button. And there, as you can see, just turn the DST on for this time zone and move the time, change the hours accordingly. Okay, let's turn it off. You do the same, and again the time has just changed. Okay, moving on. The next function is the alarm function. Now this watch has 5 alarms, with one of them being a snooze alarm. And you cycle through these alarms by using the crown. You can go forwards, you can go backwards. To turn an alarm on or off, you press this button right here. So, and once you turn any of the alarms on, you're gonna have this little ALM right here. Now, if you turn on the snooze alarm, let's just go to it. When you turn on the snooze alarm, you're going to have both the SNZ and the ALM written right here. Now, the snooze alarm is a function where the alarm, once it sounds off, repeats itself every 5 minutes until you go into the alarm function right here and turn it off by pressing this button right here. Otherwise, it's just going to keep repeating itself indefinitely. Okay, moving on, you have also the SIG or the hourly chime in here. Now, to turn that on, you again press this button and you're going to have this little SIG displayed here, meaning that the watch is going to beep every full hour. Now, each one of these alarms can be set up to the desired time. And please note that even when the alarm is turned off, as soon as you start adjusting it by pressing and holding the adjust button, it's gonna turn itself on right away. And now again, you set up the time just like you did in the main time by turning the crown. So you can go through the minutes, and pressing the mode button asks you for the hours, so you can set it up for different hours. And pressing the adjust button just completes the setup of the alarm. And now, as you can see, this alarm 2 is on, and it's gonna sound off at 22:03, and it's a daily alarm. And the last function is the already mentioned countdown timer. So yes, you can jump directly through it, but you can also come by cycling through different modes. And it's very smart of Casio to put it as the last function because of the direct access. Okay, so once you're in the timer mode, you don't need to go into the adjusting mode like on regular Casio G-Shocks to adjust this time. You simply turn the crown and the countdown timer is gonna get set up to whatever time you want. Once you've set that up, and it can go from 60 minutes, from 1 minute to 60 minutes. Once you've set it up for, let's say, 1 minute, you can start it by pressing this button right here. You can stop it, you can reset it. Now, please note that this needle here is gonna keep showing you where the countdown timer is, even when it's running, and even when you are in other functions, like the home screen, the alarm function, whatever. Also, one more thing is that once this timer reaches 0, it's gonna beep, but it's not gonna stop. It's gonna start counting up to tell you how much time has passed since you reached 0. And this little needle, once it hits 0, is going to start moving accordingly. So it's going to go counterclockwise until 0, and then it's going to start moving clockwise to show you how many minutes have passed since the watch reached 0. Now we're just going to let it run all the way to 0 to show you how it looks. And there, the watch just beeped, and now it says over and starts counting up, just like a stopwatch. So I guess it will go up to 60 minutes to tell you that you just passed your countdown timer time. Anyways, this pretty much completes the whole tutorial and the review. I hope you liked it and enjoyed it and also found it helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here. And until the next video, bye.